The only thing that feels better than cashing a lock of the night play is cashing an underdog lock of the night play. And we were able to do just that back at UFC Baku as Rafael Fiziev pretty much swept Ignacio Bahamondes on the scorecards and put on a very dominant performance, showcasing that he is much better than the 3-fight losing streak he was on going into that matchup. Thus, we cashed our lock of the night play for UFC Baku, and we did cash our lock of the night play for the PFL card in the form of Justin Wetzel, who broke Mando Gutierrez from jump and grinded the fight out to establish himself and stamp himself a spot in the finals for the PFL, I believe, featherweight tournament. I believe it's featherweight or bantamweight, whatever. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I know we cashed that ticket at minus 175. So we go 2-0 over the weekend. Now that brings our record. We're on the right track now. We're digging ourselves out. 27-23 on the year for lock of the night plays, minus 30.01 units, minus 12% ROI. Again, we were in a much worse shape a few weeks ago. We're cashing some tickets. We're on the right path, and I hope to continue that this weekend. With that said, I got 3 lock of the night candidates for you guys for this card. I do want to continue to reiterate. People continue to drop comments saying, I can't believe you're locking this guy. Can't believe you're locking this. These are just 3 candidates. That doesn't mean that I'm playing each one or locking each one. These are just 3 candidates that I would consider as lock of the night plays. Only one of them will officially be the lock of the night play. I've already dropped it on the lock of the night Patreon page, which you can find in the link in the description below. Otherwise, you can try to guess in the comments section or even drop what your lock of the night play is, and we'll see how that goes on the weekend. All right. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The first candidate up is going to be the Terrence McKinney and Vyacheslav Borshev fight under 1.5 rounds at minus 170. This is the McKinney under 1.5 is one that I'm always going to bank on. You know, I always believe has more of a shot as either cashing it as a lock of the night play or even just a play straight up, because this guy has a crazy record of finishing fights or being finished inside the distance. Let me get the actual numbers here for you guys in terms of how crazy of a run he's been on in terms of fights that finish in round 1 and fights that finish under 1.5. So for Terrence McKinney, 19 of his 23 pro fights have finished in round 1. 22 of those 23 fights have finished under 1.5 rounds. 10 of those being in the UFC. Only 2 of his 10 fights in the UFC have reached the second round, but have still cashed that under 1.5 round mark. And it doesn't matter the type of opponent he's going up against. He comes in with the same game plan every single time out. That's throwing big shots with his hands or taking opponents to the ground and quickly advancing to dominant positions to sink in chokes or get those ground and pound finishes like he did against Amir Hadzovic last time around. Now, I don't think he'll be able to finish Borshev so easily, but I think he'll gas himself out trying to finish Borshev, which will lead to Borshev eventually finishing him at the ending of the first round or early second round. But that under 1.5 is a spot that I always like to bank on for a potential lock of the night play. The second potential lock of the night play is going to be Tracy Cortez coming in at minus 255, a little chalky, but she's going up against a very favorable matchup here against Viviane Araújo. Look for Cortez to utilize her reliable wrestling game to keep Araújo on her back, specifically in the second and third rounds as Araújo starts to slow down, and that's where Cortez often seems to pick up steam. I know she didn't look that good against Rose Namajunas, but this is no Rose Namajunas as she goes up against Viviane Araújo. So whether you want to play her straight up at minus 255 or look to parlay her with something else on this card, I feel Cortez is more than worthy of being a lock of the night candidate, even at this minus 255 line. All right. The third and final lock of the night candidate is going to be the first fight on the main card with Felipe Lima coming in at minus 200 as he goes up against former fan favorite Peyton Talbot. Now, Lima has just as good of a striking game, but an even better grappling game, which he can blend behind his striking to once again expose the grappling defense and a lack of get-ups from the Peyton Talbot side. Now, I'm sure Talbot is drilling his get-ups and his takedown defense because of that embarrassing loss that he had to Raoni Barcelos at the beginning of the year. But I think Lima is still much better in the mixed martial arts side of things. And I think he'll be able to stay safe enough in the striking realm to eventually get that fight to the ground and smother Talbot on the ground. And at minus 200, I think he's more than worthy of being considered a lock of the night candidate. There you guys go. 3 lock of the night candidates for UFC 317. Only one of them will be the official lock of the night play. The folks on the Patreon already know who it is. you can sign up and find out yourself. Otherwise, drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think it is or what you would make your own lock of the night candidate. All right, I'll be back tomorrow for the chalk or not segment for UFC 317. See you guys then. Peace.